For everyone listening and watching, wherever you're listening or watching, be sure to check out the link or check out the description and check out the link for the Inspired Peak Performance Flowcast. Be sure to go and tune into what Paul is doing and do check out his website as well. Um, Paul, you talked about how you had a lot of support during your career from the Australian Institute of Sport, the Victorian Institute of Sport. Um, te- you then obviously after that became the national coach at Squash Australia. Tell me a little bit about your time there. How long were you there? What what were sort of some of the successes that you personally felt you achieved, and then we can talk a little bit about challenges and so on after that.
Yeah, I guess I was, well, national coach for about 2 years,
Hmm.
and my wife and I decided to make the move up to the Gold Coast um, in 2017. 2017, yeah, it was just before the Commonwealth Games, um, and I was really excited about the opportunity to work with Squash Australia and the and the high performance team, the elite teams, players, and I see it as a really exciting time for squash in Australia because we're at a point where we had to transition, because no longer were we at the point where we had an abundance of players coming through, um, and that the players that were doing well, your Cameron Pillies, your Ryan Cuskelly's, Donna, Rachel, um, all of them coming to quickly towards the end of their careers. Um, so like most organizations in sport or even in business in general, there's got to be a contingency plan and got to be a way to look to the future and rebuild. And the question that was asked of me is, where is our next world champion? And I always said that we haven't built the environment at this point in time for that world champion to show up yet. Um, so leaning a lot of the lessons I'd learned through um, studying coaches and leadership and things like that, it came down to what is the culture of our sport in Australia like, and what needs to change for us to answer that question. When will we have the next world champion, or will we? And my answer to that question was always, it's just the person's not here yet, and we need to create a system that the country can get behind, a shared valued system, a shared culture system that we can all get behind, support, and get excited about and move towards in the same direction. All the while still trying to honor our unique um, micro visions and um, personalities, egos, and expectations, and trying to manage all that. So I thought the role was really exciting. My wife and I moved up to the Gold Coast, and just as we did that, we found out that we were about to have our first child, um, which was also exciting and added a whole different layer to the move and the role. Um, but through the Commonwealth Games, I mean, I think we did really well, getting the two gold medals and a bronze. Um, it was a challenging time because of the way that players are transitioning ages. How do we bring the next group through? Was always had to be at the forefront of our vision, in my opinion. Um, because one of the things that was holding us back was lack of exposure to international competition. Our young players just were not getting exposure to the best competition in the world often enough. Um, so that was a big part of what I felt was necessary, or was needed, um, in the moment. So The Commonwealth Games was fantastic. I think we did really well with the team that we had. Um, and then World Doubles before that, we did really well also. And and during that time that I was national coach, the World Junior teams also had their best results in, the first World Juniors. I took the boys with Vicky Cardwell to Poland, and the boys finished 7th, which was, I think, the first time they'd finished in the top 10 or top 8 in 16 odd years. And then the girls in Malaysia on my last trip finished top 10 as well, which had been some time. So, and then my last event with the seniors was the World Doubles here on the Gold Coast, and albeit it wasn't a strong showing from the international representation, but I think we won every medal bar one. So, so I think from a results standpoint, we did really well. There was a lot of challenges within trying to implement a new strategy or a new vision that was met with a lot of uncertainty and challenges internally, organization-wise, and externally. And albeit there were many that supported that as well. So it was a job that I was highly passionate about, one that kept me up at night, one that I knew required tough decisions for the sport to move forward, and one that ultimately was going to lead to some falling out and challenging times. But I was prepared for that and knew it was coming. But yeah, the opportunity to have an impact on the sport nationally was something I was really passionate about, because playing for Australia was the ultimate for me. Winning world championships back to back for the Australian men's team was probably the biggest highlight of my career. And the passion I have for wearing that green and gold in the Australian uniform is way up there. So yeah.